Please, back up! Wait! A smile, everybody!
Hey, everybody, this is Michael.
And this is Steven. And we are the Movie Bros React. Well, we hope you're having an explosive day as we meet together again on another Thursday night, our weekly live streams with you guys. Glad that you are here. And tonight is a super special stream because we have an amazing guest, Mike, that's going to be joining us in just a moment. And we're very excited to have him. I've had the pleasure of having him as a guest on my Craving Something Scary channel a couple of times now, and look forward to having him back. Yeah, man. And I look forward to having him back over there again soon. But this is his first time on the Movie Bros React. And what's great about that, Mike, is that we cover all genres, as you know, obviously. Mm-hmm. So we get to talk about movies here other than horror. And there's some doozies that our guest has been a part of. Now, before I introduce him formally, just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. And I want to say hi to Russell. We want to say, hey, Russell, what's going on, man? And Paula, of course, is here with us as well.
Hey, Paula.
And we want to also acknowledge some other individuals, Mike. And this slide's going to be updated this week. Looks like I uploaded the wrong one. My soul, man, no. my bad. But it's 90% accurate. So, all right. So, Mike, who are we? We're talking, of course, about our
patrons.
Of course.
So we have 3 levels of patronage. We have the top level, which is May the Force be with you level. Get to the chopper level and get ready for a surprise level. And the one that is missing is Kyle from Flet's. What is it? Flet's what?
Flet's Pop Culture 13.
Yes. Flet's Pop Culture 13. Mm-hmm. He's on the Get to the Chopper level. And the people that are in Get Ready for Surprise level are Jennifer Armstrong, Val's Views, Kirsten Marie, Larry Warner, Travis Dale, and Denisha Lane. We want to thank you so much for supporting our channel. We couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate everything that you do for us.
Absolutely, guys. Your faithful support every month helps to keep the lights on for us, helps us to continue to grow, which, Mike, we are up to 812 subscribers, my friend.
Wow, I saw it at 809.
Yeah, I know. We added like another one today. So we are quickly approaching the 1,000 subscriber mark, which is our first big milestone for YouTube. So
yes,
guys, and until we do that, you guys are helping us to get there, helping the channel grow, do more special streams like tonight with the amazing Chuck Borden. And also we want to mention one other thing before we bring them on is that you do have an opportunity to send a super chat tonight, even though the channel is not monetized yet, but you can send it through Venmo. So you can Venmo is the way to go. So you can send us a super chat. Just open your Venmo app, go and just send it to @themoviebros_react. And this is where you can send it whenever you put the amount you want to send in, and then in the message box, type your question or comment for Chuck, and we will move you to the front of the line, and we'll make sure that we get your question or comment addressed. All right. And also, it greatly supports the channel. Mike and I like to call it our virtual tip jar. So that if you're having a good time, you're enjoying the stream, that will also help the channel as well. All right. So I think we've got all that underneath. I'm going to go ahead and put in now to submit your questions for Chuck. So
I think we have a couple more people that showed up.
I see that. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Jason Dyer. He's our cheerleader, which we really appreciate.
Yes, he
And
is.
I see Kyle from Flet's Movies and Pop Culture 13.
There he is. Hey, Kyle. We're awesome.
Yeah.
So
Great to see
glad you're
y'all.
here. Okay, Jason says, stopping by to say hi. Love this channel. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button, and we'll watch this later. Okay, man. You'll watch the replay. That works too. Have a wonderful night. Very good. Well, also, guys, let me just say something about our amazing guest tonight. There's much that could be said, literally for hours, but this is a true legend in the film and TV business, stunt profession, and I don't say that lightly, Mike. I don't throw that around at all. And we're talking about an individual that has either been an actor, stunt coordinator, or stunt performer in movies such as Independence Day, Eraser. I mean,
Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness. There. Let's see here. I could literally. I'm scrolling through his credits, and it overwhelms me just scrolling.
I know.
It's like, where do go ahead.
I was looking through it, and I was like, there's no way I could be able to remember any of these. I have to focus on like one or two, because I mean, all the rest like push them out.
Yes, I know. It's incredible.
I mean, he's been going since 1983. I mean, that's like his first movie I saw.
Film? Yeah.
Please don't eat the babies.
And let me just tell you, he also has basically been the stunt coordinator for Mike Flanagan, essentially and I'll clarify it with Chuck, but most of his work, Mike Flanagan's amazing films, his Netflix series, Chuck has been the stunt coordinator for these things, like Hush, for example, one of my favorite underrated slashers, and Dr. Sleep, and just anyway. In fact, we did a watch party with Chuck on Dr. Sleep. So anyway, guys, look, this is royalty, and we are honored he's here. He's made the time to spend with us tonight. So let's don't wait any longer. Let's get right to it, Mike, and bring on the one and only Mr. Chuck Borden. Welcome to the channel,
Hey,
Chuck.
You guys humbled me. Thank you. That was an awesome intro. God, I don't know what to say.
Oh man, listen, you're worthy of all of it. Let me tell you, because it's just your contribution to these films and the industry is undeniable, man.
You know, I just do what I love to do. I mean, that's why I guess probably why I've been successful and why I've you know, been able to keep going and going. I truly love what I'm doing. You know, 37 years now and counting, almost actually probably more than that. And
incredible.
Yeah, I still love it.
Man, I even saw that you did an episode of Diagnosis Murder.
I did.
I'm like, what? I love that show, man. I grew up with that. Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of stuff back in those days too. When I first got in the business, it took me 3.5 years to get my SAG card. So you were saying I started at 84 or something, 83, whatever. I think I physically started in 84. It probably the film I worked on probably was backdated or whatever, because when it was started. But I didn't get in the union until 88. It literally took me that long to get. It was just a tough time, you know. It was all families. It was all, you know, who you know. And I'm starting out in the business knowing nobody. You know, here's a young kid going up there handing out a resume, and they're like, "Going, who the hell are you? We're not going to take a chance on you." I try to get on, you know, Dukes of Hazzard, Fall Guy.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, that was the days of all the great series of stunt stuff. And I got on some. I mean, it was like I worked on Hunter pretty regularly.
Oh, really?
I loved Hunter.
I own all. Do you know, Chuck? I own all 7 seasons of Hunter on DVD.
No kid. I wound up later on. Later on, I doubled Fred Dreyer in a series that only went 1 year called Land's End down in Cabo San Lucas.
Oh,
but his regular double was Russell Solberg, and he was a coordinator on the show, and he brought me in to do some driving here and there. Just, you know, precision driving. We didn't do much because they got to do all the fun stuff. They just went zipping around us and cut us off and then slide around the corner. But that was my intro, and that was where I had to prove myself. It's like, you got to go this fast, you got to be in this spot so you're not in the way. I'm like, copy you, and you do it, and and then later on there's like, we give you more until you finally get that break.
Man, that's incredible. Wow. Is there a particular, Hunter, obviously you said you did a lot of those, and
Yeah.
I remember there's a ton of stunts in Hunter.
Yeah,
now,
no, they did a lot of stuff, a lot of car stuff. There was a lot of car chases and stuff in it. And that's where I was involved in, was the car chases. They needed a lot of drivers, so it was like you fill in the spots and stuff like that.
That's fantastic.
What did you do on the Arsenio Hall show?
I think I want to say there was something that Dennis Matalone did, who was the stunt coordinator on Star Trek, on the Star Trek series.
Oh, wow.
I did a lot of stuff with him, and he did a guest appearance or something. I can't even remember. I think I was just there to safety him. I think he was probably doing a fire gag or something. I think he was juggling fire sticks, and he lights himself on fire, and we were his safety crew.
Oh, okay.
So I actually didn't get to perform on Arsenio. I was there, but I didn't get to perform.
Oh, okay. You were the person supervising.
Yeah, I was the one that we had to set him up. We had to prep him, Dennis, get him all set up, and then as soon as he'd run off stage and we'd put him out. It's just as important as the performer, probably more so important.
Yeah,
because his safety is literally in our hands.
Yes,
and so
that's right.
And that's what people don't understand. We do all these big stunts and stuff like that, being lit on fire or jumping off a building or something like that. It's like, oh my God, you were great. It's like, I just performed the thing. I had a whole crew of people behind me that kept me safe. And they're the true heroes. I couldn't say enough about the riggers and stuff like that nowadays, that we're fighting so much to keep them, recognized and slowly but surely they're trying to push them out. I'm like, guys, you're willing to put your A actor on wires, and you don't want to recognize these guys as true performers. They're performing more than I'm performing as a stunt performer.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So it's a tough business sometimes.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And you've had the opportunity, like we said, to do TV and films.
Yep.
And I always like to ask, do you have a preference between film work and TV work? Is there a difference?
I don't think I have a preference and stuff. Obviously, TV, you have to move a lot faster. So in most cases, you don't get a lot of time to really do spectacular stuff, big stuff, because there's just not enough time in it. When we were doing the Star Trek stuff, we had to do full episode in 7 days, 6-7 days. You can't linger.
Wow.
When I'm on the Fast and the Furious stuff, Fast 9 or Fast 10, we would spend 5 weeks just second unit doing the stunts.
Oh wow,
that would never happen on a TV show.
Wow, man.
So they both have their fun. They both have their challenges and stuff like that. I think it's probably more challenging to do TV because you don't have the time, you don't have the resources that you have in a film. Bigger films, you need something, and it's there. It's like, okay, we need to do this for 4 weeks. On TV, they would go like, yeah, well, you're crazy.
Yeah, right. Hey, real quick, I want to say hello to Jason. The nice one has joined us. Hey, Jason, good to see you, man.
Jason,
he said, yeah, he's a very nice guy. It's very fitting.
It's in his name.
It is. He said, he said hello to you, Chuck, and he said it's an honor, and he's that you're joining us tonight, and he's very excited and admires your work.
Oh, thank you. Honestly, the honor is mine. I mean, I do this because I do know what we do has an impact on people that are viewers and stuff like that. And too many people that are in the industry, like myself, they don't put the time. And I think it's my obligation, in my opinion, to do this because there's too many fans out there that love doing this and they want to know what's going on. They want to get the inside scoops. It doesn't take much out of my day to do this stuff or tell a story or whatever. I mean, that's just what I like to do.
Oh, well, I know we appreciate it. Everyone here appreciates it. And, Mike and I have talked many times about, and I've told you this, Chuck, before, that, we really want to put the spotlight, I'm trying to say, on the stunt community. And it's just so underappreciated by even the viewers, I think. And the more light we can shine onto this amazing work that you and your peers have done and are doing to make these movies believable and realistic. And, because without you, these movies would be terrible because these actors, they don't know how to do all that stuff, and they wouldn't.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the stunts are important as long as they continue to help the story. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things where they try to just capitalize on the stunts, and we're just going to make stunt after stunt after stunt, and it's just not enjoyable because that is just a stunt reel. Okay, it's exciting, it's fun, but
Right.
I want to be entertained. I want to hear a story and stuff like that. And so the two have to work hand in hand. And then, like what you're saying with the stunt performers and stuff like that, it's nice to get the recognition. It's nice to get the pats in the back. But honestly, my job is to make the actor look good. When you get guys, like I doubled Val Kilmer, as you know, for many years. When you get these guys, they make a living for whatever it might be. Arnold Schwarzenegger made a living being an action hero. Had it not been for the stunt performers, he wouldn't do nothing. And he knew it, and he appreciated that. There's so many actors. Keanu Reeves, I mean, these guys, they love their stunt performers, and they will take care of them. But we're there to make him happy and make him big, because if he's big, then we're going to continue to work. And that's ultimately all we want to do. We always want to keep working.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't need a trophy. I don't need a pat on the back. I want to keep working.
Yes.
Unless you're Jackie Chan, right?
Well, and believe it or not, I mean, Jackie Chan's an amazing guy, but he's had some people fill in for him as well. I mean, he does the major stuff, but he's had some times where he's had somebody fill in for him for whatever reason, whether it's hurt or, it was just that you couldn't tell. There's so many times we do a stunt and the way we shoot it, you couldn't tell if it was a midget or if it was, the actor. You really can't tell. But then there's certain times where you're going to see Jackie Chan made sure when he was doing the stuff, you see it's him. And that's what made him who he is. He's in my opinion, that's the legends. These guys, because he did stuff that I kind of go like, holy crap, I don't know about that.
That's probably like he's like the Evel Knievel of stuntman, because he broke up all of his bones.
He's been so beat up, and but he's so talented. It's not even a matter of just being crazy enough to go do it. The guy's got so much talent. That's what makes it amazing. He does stuff that you just look at as like, holy crap. I look at the stuff and go, holy crap. I can imagine what somebody that doesn't have a clue. I know what goes behind it, and I'm like just shaking my head going, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Val is sharing out your Instagram account for everyone. Hey, Val, by the way, our moderator and the general, we call her. She's great. So cool. So be sure you guys go and follow Chuck's on his Instagram, and also for Faceplant Films. There's the Instagram.
That's my company.
That's his company there, and you can follow him on that Instagram account. So be sure you follow both, so that way you guys can see everything that's going on.
And I've never been a huge social media guy. I mean, mostly because I just don't have the time, and I share stuff on there occasionally. Lately, I have been much more active because now, like I was telling you, I got this film festival we're doing. So I've been trying to keep people informed what's going on with that. And if I'm doing a movie, I love to kind of keep people informed as much as I can. There's a lot of times we can't show anything from the films because we have to sign an NDB that not telling anything about the story. Yeah. So you can't do those. But then other ones, they just like, please give us the publicity, So it's like my pleasure. So we'll shoot behind the scenes and stuff like that. It's like I'm backstage with whatever and do some fun stuff.
Nice. Well, I'm going to ask you something about, because you have a great relationship with Mike Flanagan. I was mentioning that earlier.
I love Mike Flanagan.
And he's a cool guy, and you've been on such a part of his work that he's done.
Yeah, I was there from the beginning, from when we did Oculus.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
For some of us who don't know who Mike Flanagan is.
Yeah.
Who is he?
He's an incredible filmmaker and director. Remember Oculus, Mike?
Oh, yeah. It was a great movie. Yeah.
That he directed that.
Oh, okay.
Mike Flanagan has become kind of the go-to guy for the horror film industry.
Nice.
We did Oculus. We did Hush, like you said, before I wake. Gerald's Game. He's done a couple of Stephen King things. We did Dr. Sleep recently. That was the last film I did with him before he went to Canada, and then I wasn't able to pursue it. So then he did the second season of we did Haunting Hill House, and they did Bly Manor up in Canada. so I wasn't allowed to
Okay.
go work on that. And then, of course, they did Midnight Mass, House of Usher. And then he came back down here, back to Alabama, and did, which is coming out soon, I think, The Life of Chuck. And, of course, I was like, guys, I got to be on that. There was 0 stunts on it. I was like, no. So I didn't get to work on that one.
Oh, bummer. I was going to ask you about that one. That's actually what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, there was literally nothing on it. I kept doing it. And finally, Scott Lumpkin, who was the producer on it, says, there's no stunts on his Chuck, nothing. I said, can I come be a PA? I mean, and I'm looking forward to hopefully reunite with Mike. He's become really busy. And like I said, he's a legend. I mean, this guy can't even walk into a place without people recognizing who he is. And he's a director. He's not even in front of camera. He's a director.
That's right.
Behind the scenes, and people know who he is. I mean, we walk into a club or something like that, and right away they're like, is that really Mike Flanagan? I'm like, that's really Mike Flanagan. And it's great. I'm proud of him because he worked hard to get to where he's at, and it's paid off, and he's doing really, really well.
And those are amazing movies and stuff that he's done.
He's had a great history.
Well,
he's young. He's just starting.
Yeah, I was going to say he's pretty young too.
Yeah.
So Chuck, of all the projects of Mike's you've worked on, which is a good handful, do you have one that stands out as like that was my most fun, or that's my favorite, or anything that you would pick out of all of them?
They're all kind of special, but I would have to say Dr. Sleep just because of what it was. Yeah. We literally rebuilt the Colorado Room from the original blueprints from Warner Brothers. It's iconic because it's The Shining, and we went back through. We actually got to, and when we were prepping the show, the movie theater that we shot in was they sent us a digital copy of the original Shining, and we all as a crew went and got to watch it. Close the theater and stuff like that. It was just amazing. I think just because of what it was, I don't know that there was anything special about it. We did some really cool stunts. I mean, we crashed a car into a tree and launched a guy through the windshield. We did an amazing stair fall at the end.
Yes.
That stair fall. And that was real. I mean, there was no CGI about that. We launched a guy off an air ramp into a stair fall. That's never been done.
Wow.
And Rebecca launched him. I mean, she was the one. We had a stunt double. Casey was her stunt double. She was there, and then Mike says, is it safe enough to put Rebecca in there? It's like, you know what? We'll rehearse it with her. And we rehearsed it on the ground. We did some stuff. She was great, and we did the shot with her. So that way we continue after the stair fall. She walked down the stairs right to the double, and then of course we cut out of it and put Ewan back in. But oh my God, wow. that was just that stair fall was insane just because of what it was. And of course, the ratchet off the top of the RV, that was just, I don't think the film does it justice how amazing that thing was, because of course you watch it, it's amazing. But again, there was no CG in that. That was on wire that we launched her off it. The only CG on that was you erase the wires.
Wow.
It was cool. I was proud that what the stunt team did on that show. That they really, my team did a great job. I can't say enough about them. They made me look good. I mean, I'd come out, it's like, oh, you coordinated. I was like, man, I just told them what we wanted to do, and we rehearsed it, and they did it. I'm just the one that said this is what we want to do, and called action.
Man, well, it was great. I remember all those scenes. Great movie. There's been so many films. Now, I know we're zigzagging a little bit, but that's okay, right? We're just gonna jump around.
My career zigzags all over the place.
So, Mike, why don't you lead us off in the discussion of the film that we saw in theaters together, and it's of course Army of Darkness,
the
Evil Dead series. Yeah.
So you have Bruce Campbell. For those of y'all who haven't seen it, and it's the second or third, depending on how you look at it. Because I mean, there's was it the first one he did?
Well, there was Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, one, and then Evil Dead 2 was kind of like the same thing. Just
it was a little bit more modernized and cleaned up, because the original Evil Dead was one of these things that he did that Sam did with no money, no budget.
Yes.
And it just became a huge hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Steve and I loved it. I mean, we loved the first and the second one, and then we went to go to theaters because we saw it came out, and we just thought it was a fantastic movie. Great one-liners throughout the whole thing with Bruce Campbell.
Yep.
And so, what part? Let me guess. Maybe you had some parts in it when Bruce fell into the pit where the zombie or the demons were.
Nope.
And he had to fight. Oh no.
Nope. That was a lot of the skeleton guys, and they literally got guys that were skeletons. I mean, not real skeletons, but they mean just really skinny guys and stuff like that. I'm just too big to play a skeleton. It was always, we talked about different stuff. I was supposed to work on God, what's the zombie one? Walking Dead. And they would just joke at me. It's like, you're too big. We have to make you two. You would be two zombies together. Sorry. Okay. Because they wanted these anorexic zombies. I mean, and the same thing on Army of Darkness. These skeleton guys, they needed to fit in this little skeleton suit to make it look like they're really a skeleton. You can't have a big guy, which worked in my favor on stuff like Star Trek, because I was a perfect size for Cardassians and Romulans and Klingons. So it was the same thing on it worked against me on Army of Darkness. But on Army of Darkness, I was there for a couple sequences. The one that I was actually photographed on is when the skeleton crew is attacking this castle and shoot all the arrows. I came off the top of the castle with all the arrows into me. I did the high fall off of that.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, and that was originally supposed to be. We did several cameras. They only used the one camera angle on me where we did the fall, but there was a shot of a master where it goes up with the rocks, and as soon as it got to a certain point, I fall, and we panned down. We had buried the pads about 50 foot. We buried the pads in the dirt so you don't see them. And right before I hit the ground, Bruce is supposed to step into a close-up and block it. And he's yelling. He's like, "They're coming through the gate, blah, blah, blah." And for whatever reason, it didn't quite work, the timing or something like that. And they didn't want to do it a second time, which I was grateful for, because it was supposed to be a dead man, and that was a really hard hit. When you bury the pads, there's no place for the air to go, so it becomes very hard.
Man.
How far down did you fall?
There was a 50-foot fall, so it was a decent size, and it was blind, because when I was at the top of the castle, I couldn't see over to where I was falling. I had to spot it up, step back, and then it was like when they called action, I would just go, and I didn't see my spot until I was already in the air. So you just got to hope I didn't push too far, I didn't undershoot it, whatever, because there's no way to move it. If I miss, I miss. I'm call a corner. So that was just one of those things. That was the one that was in. But then there was also stuff where Bruce runs into the mirror. He crashes into the mirror, and it breaks all those little pieces.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
When we did that, we anchored the mirror down so he can hit it. And of course, it was breakaway glass and stuff like that. But it kept moving. It kept sliding around. So in the shot that we did, I'm physically behind the mirror holding it when he hits it. You don't see it. But that was the only way we could hold it. And Chris just said, "Get back there and make sure it doesn't move." I'm like, copy that. And it worked. It worked great.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was one of our favorite parts, because all
that
the
was a fun show. And there's a lot of little stuff like that we do that you would never guess.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all made it work. Y'all just fantastic.
Whatever makes it work. That's we're there to make it work. That's our job.
Wow.
Man. So awesome.
Yeah. And speaking of that, would you say that the castle fall was the craziest or most extreme stunt of the movie, or you think that, or are there others kind of you feel were maybe not the same, obviously falling down, but equally challenging? Let's say.
For you mean that movie, or just movies in general?
Yeah, for Army of Darkness.
Yeah, for Army of Darkness, there was some pretty cool stuff. There was a couple falls off the side that they'd fall off the one ledge into a stair fall and stuff like that as they're doing the fights, or fall on top of a thing, go through a thatched roof into some pads and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There was a bunch of little stuff like that. In my end of it, that was definitely the hairiest stunt for me. It. So definitely.
Well, and of course, as we know at the end, shop smart, shop as smart. And then you have that crazy demon and he's got the shotgun with endless shells, which I just love that. There's infinity ammo.
that whole film is just ingenious and stuff. It was
Yeah.
it was so fun because there was parts of it we would just laugh, and we were laughing just as hard on the set as we were when we watched it later on. It was that much fun.
I can imagine. My gosh. Um, okay, so Mike, do you have anything else on Army of Darkness you wanted to touch on? If not, I can keep us moving in other
Yeah,
stuff.
let's keep going.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So we got to go back a little bit. Actually, this is actually after Army of Darkness, I believe, by like 3 or 4 years. You tell us about the Independence Day opportunity. Like, how did that come about? And what did you actually do? And maybe some scenes we can look for you the next time we watch it.
There's only one scene that I was kept in because we shot a lot of stuff that got cut. There was stuff. I was one of the riggers. My into that one was, and I knew Dan Bradley really well and stuff like that. But there was a sequence where the fireball comes through the tunnel and stuff, and there's cars flipping and bodies flying.
Oh yeah,
we had to rig like 4 or 6 guys on wires. So I helped with the rigging on that, which led to we're going to do this whole bit at the Roswell thing where the guys are running from Roswell from the fireball, have to get in the elevators to go underground. The only time I'm in the film is I'm one of the last people to get into the elevator as the debris is falling on us and stuff like that. So you see my back and my butt as I run into the elevator and stuff like that. But that was kind of it. We did do some stuff underground. There was some sequences where they were talking as they're going through, and of course everything's shorting out. And I was one of the patients on this table as there's sparks falling on the top of us. Okay. It got cut out of the film, so it never made it. But it was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. That's what a great movie.
Yeah, that was fun. And that was another one of those ones I wasn't, you don't know if it's going to be a hit or not. Independence Day, okay, sure, Will Smith's in it, it's going to be great, but that doesn't guarantee it's going to be a hit movie, Unlike stuff like the Fast and the Furious, where it's such a legacy, that one's going to be big just because of what it is. So the stuff like Independence Day, you figure it's going to be, and you don't know. And then smaller films that don't have that budget, it's like it's a crapshoot. And all of a sudden, it explodes. I'm like, holy crap! I never would have guessed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Mike. Yeah, go ahead.
So, what movie have you done that you have the most screen time in?
Ooh, there was probably. This is probably not a good reason why I had a lot of screen time, but there was a movie called what was it? It was like Confidence or something like that. I was dubbing Val Kilmer on this movie in New Mexico, and Val had a reputation, and I got a lot of work because of him, because I worked well with Val. I was friends with him, from Wonderland. We did a bunch of stuff, and we just became friends. And so I had a relationship with him where he trusted me. And if I went up to him and says, I want to do this, he kind of trusted me and went with it. Whereas the production would say, we want to do this. And you're like, to hell with you. So the productions a lot of times would just piss him off, and he would just not want to do anything. So on this one in New Mexico, and like I said, I can't remember. It was a low budget film. It didn't really do that well. There was a lot of times that Val would come in late, and they would want to start shooting, and they would shoot me in all the sequences. And when he got in, they just shot his close-ups, and that was it. So it might be a 5-minute sequence. I did 4 minutes of it, and he came in to do his close-ups, and then other days he would do everything and stuff like that. But it became kind of I looked enough like him that, as long as you didn't shoot my face close up, then you can get away with it. So I was in that a lot. Like I said, only because of the situation. And there was a lot of times too that they would work Val like really long hours, and he's like, I'm tired, guys. I need some sleep. And he had to have his turnaround, and they want to start it right away. I would get released earlier. It's like, okay, we can bring Chuck in early. We'll shoot all his stuff, and when Val gets here, we'll do his close-ups. So in that case, I did a lot of stuff, so it was fun.
Was this the movie with Val Kilmer where he's on the Indian reservation?
It was. He's a undercover. He was supposed to assassinate somebody, and it backfires on him. And they shoot him. He falls off of a cliff, loses his memory, and he's trying to get his memory back. But all this stuff keeps coming back to him and stuff like that. Why he was there? He can't remember why he was there.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, like I said, I have to look it up because I can't remember the name of the film.
Okay.
I
No
keep
worries.
going back to Confidence, but Confidence wasn't that was an Ed Norton film that we did.
It was Top Secret, right?
Oh, Top Secret.
All Top
That was
Secret.
that was a great movie.
That's fun. I didn't work on that one though.
Now, Chuck, I want to move us up now. Again, we're going all around 2023, and you were in Murder Mystery 2 with Adam Sandler. And
That's right. Remember, and we shot that in Paris. Yep.
ooh,
Yep.
Wow.
Actually, we
So-
shot it before that. It was released in 2023. We shot it a year or so before that.
okay.
And it was the same. That was the same group of stunt people that we did the Fast 9 and the Fast 10 with Fast X. It was the same group with Spiro, and we all came in to do that sequence where the car, they're fighting the van and it crashes through the whole thing. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Man, that's a great sequence too. It's like, wow.
Yeah. And they shot that many different times because we only shot in Paris for a week for that crashing through stuff. And then they went in the van and shot all the fight stuff on the stage. It was a completely different deal. But that whole sequence is fun. Just being in Paris is just a blast. And, I live overseas, so it's not such a big deal, but you don't get a chance to work in Paris. I've been to Paris, but I never got to work there. Now I can say I got to work in Paris. It's kind of cool. Because it's a whole different world when you're working there because you get access to stuff that I didn't get access to as in the public. We're filming in certain areas and stuff like that there's no way you would be able to get to without that permission. So it's kind of fun.
Ooh, yeah, like behind the scenes in the real Paris. Yeah. Now, before we get to Fast X and Fast 9, which are, if you're into car stunts, I can't think of any other movie to direct anyone to with those films. But before we get there,
no CGI in those, right?
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of CGI in that.
Yes. Oh, yes. Because I know that was you that was in space, right? You were in space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, and that was the funny thing is, and listen, those films have been great for me, but I was a little bit disappointed just because there was so much CG. We did some amazing car stunts, amazing crashes and stuff like that. And when you watch it, they add so much stuff that it almost looks fake. And it was a shame because it's not fake; it's real. The same with I had the same opinion when Fall Guy came out and say, "What do you think?" It was great stunts. Like, it was great stunts, but there was so much CG that I couldn't tell you what the stunt was, and it was a shame because these guys work hard, and maybe I'm too critical because I know better, but even people in the public was like, "Well, it looked like a video game." I'm like, exactly. That was my opinion too, but it's really sad because they're overusing it, and CG was meant. It's just like AI is now coming a big thing. It's meant to enhance the film, just like the stunts are in there to enhance the film, not to take over. And it has taken over. It will back off again, but at the moment, it's the hot ticket, so to say.
Oh man! Well, there's a movie that, is to my knowledge, has no CGI in it at all. And Michael, this is one I know Mike likes a lot. It's the Fanboys movie. I wanted to go see.
Oh my gosh!
And you were a security guard in the movie as well.
I was. Yep.
So can you tell us your experience on working on that movie and kind of just
that was a blast. Yeah, I wore a lot of hats in that thing because I came on just to be a stunt coordinator on it, and then when they put the guards in there, they wanted the guards to do a little bit more than just anything else. So Ray Parks came in, of course, to play guard, and I was playing the guard with Ray Parks, which was a joy just to be able to work with somebody like that. And then I also took over as second unit director, which I didn't get screen credits for that because there was some contractual obligations they had. But we did that whole sequence where he's being chased by the cops, and they're afraid they're going to get the peyote and stuff like that. And that was just fun. That was really a lot of fun. Having the actors slide down into the pit, into the trash pit. We just had a blast. And you're right. There wasn't a lot of CG in that film. There really wasn't. The stuff we did was real. And we made it so the actors can do it for the most part. I didn't have a lot of doubles. I did do some doubles, but most of the stuff was the actors because they were willing to do it. They were all physically able to do it, and then we just customized the stunts so they could do it, and it worked out. You watch the film, and it's enjoyable because you can see them doing it.
Nice. So, Chuck, we had Roger Christian on our channel once, and you know he is. He worked.
I know the name. I don't think I met him.
Yeah, he worked on Star Wars, but one of his good friends is like the writer or the producer of Fanboys.
Okay.
And he let us know that they were planning on doing a Fanboys too.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because Kyle Newman, who was the director on that thing, we had a great time. He's done a couple of films, but his career hasn't taken off as much as it should have because he's really talented as well. He just had a great vision, and the film was what it was because of him. And so I hope they bring him back and stuff like that. I hope I get a chance to go back and do Fanboys too, because
that would be fun.
The first one was so much fun, and now we shot it in Albuquerque and we just had a blast. And I also wound up doubling Seth on that as well. There's a whole bit whenever when he's had the two doubles, I was usually the opposite side of him. So when he's talking to himself in the casino bit, when they're shooting him, they're shooting over my shoulder, and then they would flip over, and we would switch outfits, and then of course it was some time between it, but I was his double on that.
So
that was
funny.
fun, and he's such a great guy. He was so much fun. I had a blast with him as well.
Oh man. Yeah, I'd love to see the second one too. That'd be great. That would be.
I'm just curious of what they would do with it. That's just one of those. Where are you going to go with it?
I don't know.
The whole thing was based around the guy is dying of cancer, and his dying wish is to go see the screening and stuff like that. And there's actually a lot of backlash on that because they wanted to cut that out, even though they greenlit the script with him as a dying wish and stuff like that. And then we get to the editing and stuff, and they started saying, "Oh, it's just morbid. We can't do that." I'm like, but that's the whole reason this trip is based around. You can't. And what happened behind the door, closed doors and stuff like that with the arguments, what it was going to be, I don't know. So with that being said, I'm not sure where they're going to go with the film with a sequel. It'd be interesting to see what they're going to do. Yeah,
I have to say that's the happiest, saddest movie I've ever
watched.
Exactly.
And it was just like during this whole thing, as we're doing this journey across stuff, just knowing what it was, like I can just envision if this was real, and that you're taking your best friend, for his dying wish, and making it happen. And all, of course, all the craziness that happened in between there and stuff like that, which was just a blast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was a fun one for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, as Val says, that movie gave you all the emotions. Yeah, it did.
It really did. It was all over the place. You laughed and then you cried and you didn't know what to do, and that's what made it so much fun. So much fun to work on, and even more fun to watch.
Yes.
Hey, real quick, Chuck, Russell says, was the movie Thunderheart that you were talking about earlier? Was that the name of it?
No.
Okay.
The Val Kilmer one?
Yeah, the Val Kilmer movie. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the one where he's on the Indian reservation.
That might be.
As a cop.
As a cop. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was supposed to be like a special agent and stuff like that. And it's bugging me. I'm gonna look it up. I gotta find it. I gotta find what the hell that name was.
Steve, do you want to shoot the questions that you starred?
Yeah, I will in just a second.
Okay.
I wonder we have a couple of questions here that from the audience, but before I do that, there's another movie that I have to mention.
Oh,
and it's one
Conspiracy.
Oh, Conspiracy.
It did get a big release. It wasn't very good.
Okay.
It was one of those films that the director didn't really have a clear vision, and it was a shame because the concept was really good, but it didn't show on film the fun of it. And it was a lot of action in it. I was on the whole show, and like I said, there was so much stuff in it that I was jumping in and out of scenes. Most of the time I needed to be in because there was action in it, but there was other stuff that just led to it that I just kept going.
Yeah.
They was just like, just shoot Chuck.
I mean, I'm going to watch the movie just to know that that's you. That's like all those scenes. Like, there you go. That's Chuck. I know him. He's my friend. Well, I have to ask you about what I think is one of the most underrated little gems of the 80s. It was slasher films.
Okay.
And you were stunt coordinator for Intruder from
The Intruder.
1989.
That was the
Dude.
film that got me in the union. That was the film I got my SAG card in. And that, I think we spoke about this. That was the first film I worked with Sam Raimi on as well.
Yes, that's right.
Sam and Ted were actors in that movie. And that was, they were just starting to get in. Scott Spiegel directed and stuff like that. And I got that show as a fluke, literally as a fluke. The production manager, Paula Major, was an extremely good friend of mine. And we'd done a bunch of stuff together. I was I was only doing some non-union stuff and trying to make a name for myself. And she knew that they were talking to somebody, but they hadn't closed the deal yet. So she calls me up and says, hey, I got this thing, but I may have to kind of slide you in sneaky a little bit. Would you come and work in the art department? And I said, of course. So we're stocking. It's a closed down grocery store. You know the story about it. Closed down grocery store. We're stocking the shelves with these fake boxes and stuff, empty boxes and stuff like that. On the second day of doing this, they decided they're going to do a location scout. And here comes, Lawrence Bender and Scott Spiegel and all these guys come in to scout it. And they're walking through and they're up by the cash registers and there's little conveyor things where you put the groceries on and it goes down. Scott's walking through. He says, and he asked the production designer, he says, is this secure enough that if I have our girl running across, I can see the killer running across these conveyor things behind her. We only see it from the waist down and stuff like that, chasing her. And she's like, you know what? I don't know. He says, but we have a stuntman that's working in a part of our crew. Why don't we ask him? and I know Paula had this all set up and stuff. So they called me up there, introduced me to everybody. And so they said, they tell me about this. I was like, you know what? I don't know. Let's try it. So I jump up there and I just run across it. And they're like, Scott's like, oh my God, well, what about this? And he goes to a second thing. He's like, we climb with this ladder and stuff. And it's supposed to catch it and fall down. It's like, I climb up and I fall down. Scott turns around to Lawrence Bender and stuff like that. I said, who's our stunt guy in this though? And he goes, oh, we're talking to this guy. And Scott goes, enough. I want Chuck. And so they approached me and it's like, it was 2 weeks worth of work. And I wound up playing the killer through the whole thing until the very end. I was the killer because they didn't want to reveal who the killer was.
Yes, that's right. It's a mystery.
I became the killer through this whole thing. And the end, then you reveal who it really was. And that way you couldn't say, oh, I can tell who that is because you're never seeing him. You only seen me.
So all the kills that we see done by the killer is you.
All those kills were me.
That's so awesome, man.
I killed Sam. I killed Ted. I killed them all.
That's amazing, man. I really enjoyed the movie. I had actually recently saw it back when we talked about it initially.
I got to go back and watch it. We talked when we talked the last time. I kept saying I got to go look at it, and I haven't been able to find it. So I'm going to go look for it.
It's good. I'm telling you, it holds up.
It does.
Val says, "Hey, Craven, didn't we do a watch party?" We did. I had a watch party here on the channel on the Craven
for
channel.
Intruder.
Yes.
Oh,
I sure did. And Chuck, listen, Mike, I think you'll be okay with this. Chuck, would you consider coming back here to the Movie Bros and we watch Intruder with you on the panel?
That would be fun.
Because you're in so many scenes.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. And like I said,
wow.
I'm in it a fair amount of time because all those bits, and it wasn't even always stunts. Sometimes it was just a shadow, or sometimes it was just somebody lurking in the back, and it was always me because they just didn't want to give that storyline away. It's like, we don't want to give away who the killer is.
I have to give you a disclaimer. I'm not huge on horror
films
because I'll sit there and I'll get so anxious. I'll start talking and screaming to the screen, and people will show up just to watch my reaction. So you gotta forgive me for my faux pas.
I wouldn't say I prefer horror films, but I've done so many of them that it's just become a huge part of my life. It's I've done so many,
right?
And everything from goofy ones back in the 90s and stuff like that, when we did all the full moon stuff, the Puppet Masters and Prancers and all those things. I was the resident stunt coordinator for Full Moon Entertainment. So we would literally go from one to the next, and we just do 8 of these films in a year. We just keep rolling through. It was crazy.
Wow.
So I saw you did Puppet Master 2. Did you do the original one?
I think the original one was before I got in the business, or I might have been in the business, but I wasn't really established yet. And it wasn't until later on, Dave Dakota, I did a really cheesy little film with him that their stunt guy or their stunt actor that was going to do this part backed out the last second. I get a call like the day before from actually from an electrician friend of mine. He's like, hey, they need a guy. Would you do this? And it was in Palmdale. It was close to where I'm at. Like, of course. I drove out there. We did all this stuff, and they actually expanded on the part. Dave Dakota was directing it, and they expanded the part because like, oh, we got a real stunt guy. We can do this stuff. I just jump off the roof and blah, blah, blah. And it was really a lot of fun. And then Dave just fell in love with me. We had a great relationship, kind of the same thing I had with Mike Flanagan. And every film that he did, he would call me up. And he wound up doing a lot of those films for Full Moon. So him and John Schuweiler is like, and once I was there, then of course Charlie Band, all these guys like, keep Chuck going. He works for our rate, and he'll make a good job. He's safe. So it was a great little relationship. I was early as a stunt coordinator. It gave me a lot of credits, a lot of credential, and a lot of opportunities to hire a lot of stunt people that helped me get started. So it was kind of fun.
I think Steve and I lived off a Full Moon back in the day. That's all we
did.
would get from the video store.
So there was a bunch of them. I don't know how many I did for them, but there was quite a few of them.
Wow. And something else that Mike will be, I mean, Mike, I know you're probably aware of it, but Mike has another channel called the Carbonite Jedi, where it's all Star Wars and sci-fi. Okay. And Mike is a huge Star Trek fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I did a couple Star Treks.
Just a couple.
Okay, 13 seasons. I did a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I was Q's stunt double, John Delancey. I was his stunt double.
Oh wow!
And then I was the perfect size. I was literally me and Chris Doyle. Every alien on that show is the two of us, except I was not a Ferengi because I was too big, and I wasn't a Borg because I was just too big. They wanted the slender guys for the Borgs and stuff like that, and the Ferengis were short. I'm 6'2". It's like you can't make me short.
So what was the hottest? Was it the Klingon outfit or?
You know what? They all were. There was one. It was called the Swarm, and I think I was the only stunt Swarm character because it was supposed to be an ongoing character, and the costumes were so bulky and stuff like that. There was literally it was a full mask. The only thing that was visible of me was my eyes, and we put contacts in. So
oh wow,
that mask was the hottest. I would say the early Klingons were really bad because they were neoprene suits, really thick, heavy. We did after a while because people were just passing out from the exhaustion. They did improve them and stuff like that, but some of the early costumes and stuff were so heavy. You put it on this Lilia. It was a Lilia neoprene suit, and it was so hot. And you try to unzip it in between takes. Of course, you can't take the mask off because it's glued on. It's 4-hour makeup job, 5-hour makeup job. But at least you can open up the suit and get some air in there. And literally, you open it up and it would just steam would be pouring off. We go through. You couldn't put a fat guy in that because he would just melt away.
Oh yeah, imagine. My gosh.
You want to go on a diet? Try the Klingon diet.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a friend who was in cosplay and he went as a Ferengi, and he said he almost passed out from the makeup. It was so hot around his head.
If you don't get used, it was two things. Between the heat, it really got really hot. And if you were claustrophobic at any way, even though it's a mask that's glued onto you, there's something about putting the forehead and putting these things on. It's there, and you kind of get this bit. And for certain people, they would just freak out. For me, it never bothered me. It was not really a problem, but there was a lot of people that would freak out, literally, because it was very bizarre.
So you were on The Next Generation and Deep Space Nine? I started the
third season of Next Generation, and then I worked all the way through Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
Oh, you're on Voyager too.
I was on Voyager too. Yep. Wow. And mostly, like I said, I did stuff for Q, for John Delancey, and then I was just the perfect size for aliens. So anytime there was a decent sized alien, it was, there was like 6 guys that were the regulars, and I was one of those regulars.
I love John Delancey. He was so great.
John was wonderful. Well, here's a perfect story for you. The first time I doubled him, there was an episode where there's a female Q character, and he goes to get her. and she does this arm flip, and he gets tossed across the room, which was me. So
no.
when I meet John and stuff like that, I go in the dressing room and they're introducing me, and it's like, John, this is your stunt double. And he's like, stunt double? What do I need a stunt double for? Like, oh, what, when you get tossed across the room and stuff. I was like, well, it's something I can do, right? And I knew it was like, oh, this is a bigger deal than they told him. I said, you know what? We can talk to Dennis, and if he's cool with it, then I don't mind watching you do it, and I'll make it safe. He said, no, I don't want to take your job away. I'm just curious. I thought it was going to be simple. I'm like, we'll see. So sure enough, we go on the stage, and it was a long toss. I was probably airborne for a good 20, 30 feet before I hit the wall.
Oh,
they literally put the camera in my chest. The camera's in my chest, and on action, they yank me away. So I'm going away from the camera, and it just carries me all the way as a oneer into the wall. And I hit the wall so hard. There was a table there that was not a breakaway that just got destroyed by my legs. It knocked the wind out of me. So I hit this thing, and I back down, and I'm not quite on the ground because the wire is holding me up partially. I hear cut, and I'm kind of just trying to clear my head, seeing stars. And I see a hand come down to help me up. I'm figuring it's Dennis Madelon, the coordinator and stuff like that. And I look up, and it's John Delancey. And he's like, dude, that was amazing. And we were friends from that point on and stuff like that. He actually went to a Home Depot in near Pasadena area in California. And my sister was working there, and she knew who he was. And he came in her line, and she was laughing and stuff like that. And of course, he's like, oh, she recognized me type thing. And she says, I know who you are. And he kind of snickers, like, you're my brother's acting double. And he's like, what? It's like, you're my brother's acting double. And he had to take the things like, are you Chuck's sister? And he's like, yeah. And he knew who I was. I'm like, that's amazing, because most time you work for these people. Okay, it's a day here, day there. They don't really remember who you are. Some of them do, but most of them don't. But he knew my name. It's like, and it was like, it's just a shock to me. And she's like, and she just laughed. It's like, yeah, he came in my line, and I gave him shit.
It's too funny.
But he was wonderful. I love John Delancey. I've got a couple of projects of my own, and I've asked for him to be considered for a couple of parts, just 'cause I would love to work with him again.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow,
Hey,
that's awesome. Okay, Mike.
I was going to say, I have one question that I've really been wondering about is, how did the strike affect you in your job, and did it really affect you much?
This recent one, yeah. You know what? We never really got to recover from COVID, and right when that was looking like it was going to blow over and we were going to be able to get back to full work again, and then the strikes hit, and we're still going through it. I mean, I'm in Atlanta right now, and there's nothing going on. I think this town usually has between 50 and 100 shows going on at a time, and there's like 6 shows here. And there's nobody working. Everybody I know is like, yeah, wow, we're waiting. So the strikes have had a really big effect on the industry as a whole. I'm curious of where it's going to go now that they're settling with the way ISC and the Teamsters and stuff like that. What next? Is it going to explode? Is it not going to explode? Because they said after COVID, oh yeah, the business is going to be so much work because they need the content. It didn't happen. So I'm not sure what's going to happen after this. It's been really bizarre handful of years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
I mean, I hope for all of our sakes that we can get back to work and they can start doing stuff again. But the business as a whole has changed. Streaming services changed it a lot. It's really taken the steam out of a lot of those bigger shows.
Yeah, that was a big, as we know, that's a big deal with the whole streaming and getting paid fairly from royalties and all that stuff. And
that's been the fight. That's been the fight, because they were still doing. I mean, Hill House. I hired a bunch of guys and stuff like that. Dark Sleep. I was able to hire a bunch of people, and it kept a lot of people busy. But the pay coming back from that has been, and that's most of our in between jobs. That's how we survive, and that's what people don't understand. It's like, oh, you make all this extra money. It's like, no, we make a clump of money for the film. We only work for like a month, or sometimes only a week. On Star Trek, it was a day to day. I'd work one day and I'd be off a handful of days, maybe weeks, and before I'd work again. So, it sounds great and stuff like that. It's like, there's a lot of big gaps. And the only way you get through that is with these residuals when they do it. And the studios are all making, and the streaming service, they're making a ton of money off of the products that we're supplying them. And I think it's only fair that they share that with the people that made the products. Yeah, and more and more, they're cutting back more and more. It's getting harder and harder. I made great residuals, and I look back and it's like, if I look at my residuals from the last couple of years, if I was living off that, I'd be in the poverty level. Seriously. It's gotten that bad. It's got that bad. I get a residual and it's like, oh, look, I got 25 cents. It cost them more to process this than it was worth.
Yeah. I've heard that also from other folks I've interviewed that were talking about the same thing. Like it literally like a 13-cent check, and it costs whatever 30 cents or whatever to mail it.
Yeah.
And it's 13-cent. Unbelievable. That's just wrong, man.
There used to be a restaurant in North Hollywood called Residuals. And if you had a residual check, when they mailed out checks, now it's pretty much direct deposit. But if you had a residual check for less than $1, you would get a free meal. You go in and you hang it on the wall. Because they black out all your personal information, stuff like leave your name, put it on the wall, and you get a free meal.
That's
awesome.
We say the same thing. It's like, why are you even mailing out? If it costs you, say, 50 cents to do this, and I get 6 cents, I've gotten checks for as little as 1 cent. Mom and Dad Saved the World. I was doubling Jeffrey Jones and stuff like that. I get residual checks for like a penny. And they take taxes, 2-3 cents, and they take taxes out of it. I'm like, really? I made 3 cents. You took a penny out of it. Give me a break, guys. But it's like, okay, the bureaucracy that went behind this thing, we wasted so much money to process this. I want to just hang on to them and just show them off. Like, look at this, 3 cents.
Right. Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Well, listen, guys.
Happens. And you know what? I guess it's business, so you got to kind of deal with it. And that's at the end of the day, as all we got to tell people is like, I love what I do, but it's still a business. It's a job, just like going to flip burgers or to put the trash away or whatever it might be. It's a job, and I got to look at it that way.
Yep. Well, guys, listen, we're going to start to head down the wrapping up the stream. We want to be respectful of Chuck's time that he's given us tonight. So if you do have any more questions, I advise you to send them in now. We have a couple we're going to put up for Chuck to look at. One of them is from Paula, and she says, Mr. Borden, what was your most dangerous stunt you've had to perform? And what was Samuel L. Jackson like on set?
I was going to ask that question too.
Samuel, that was Hitman'S Bodyguard.
Yes,
he was very private. We didn't really get a lot of chance to talk to him. He just liked his own personal time, and he would come into set. He would do his job, and most time it was his double. So we were doing all the stunt stuff. But he would come to set and do his stuff, and he was actually driving the boat with the double. They would do a bunch of driving stuff together. Nice enough guy. He didn't really, and because we were in the open streets, even though it was closed set, people would come in, so he had to be kind of protective because people want to come up and take pictures and stuff like that. So they were really protective of him. So it's hard for me to say. He seemed like a nice guy, but I never really got a chance to talk to him. Now, as far as the most dangerous stunt, I think they all have their own amount of danger. I always refer to, whenever I'm asked this, I always refer to spectacular wise. And I say the Dark Man clip where I'm hanging from the helicopter. For those of you who don't know, there's a sequence at the end of the movie of Dark Man, the original Dark Man, where there's a whole helicopter chase with two helicopters being chased by a police helicopter, and Dark Man is hanging on a cable underneath the helicopter.
That was you.
Amazing sequence. I got to double Liam hanging from the helicopter. So to me,
oh my gosh,
dangerous. Yeah, it was pretty dangerous because I mean, a thousand things can go wrong, and any of them went wrong, I'd probably be dead. But I was literally a puppet on the end of a string. So I was at the mercy of the pilot, Craig Hoskins. He was amazing. He did some great stuff, and it beat the hell out of me, but I loved every second of it.
How were you attached to that rope?
It was a steel cable, and there was a clip put in it. So there was rigging that was in my suit that came up, and you'll notice when I'm flailing, my hand, one hand is always here, and then the other one's up here, and I would let go like this. This hand was always there because it was hiding all the rigging, where everything connected.
Oh, okay.
So, and there was some times where I had my foot in the hook, so I was able to take my weight off the harness and stuff like that. But when let go of that and I slide down a little bit farther, my hand was always covering up that rigging stuff. So it was always my hand. One of my hands was always here to fly it, and the other one was flailing around doing stuff like that.
I would have passed out.
I mean, that was just full steam. The pilots flew that like they were flying like there was nobody else around. And they estimated I pulled at least 3 to 4 G's on some of those turns when they go through, because I would just swing all the way out. I mean, they would go through a turn and I'm 11 meters underneath them on this cable. So multiply that by whatever the thing is. It was pretty intense. Man. And I probably was only able to hang for about a total of 15 minutes at a time before we landed. I have to give me a break because it would just wear you out. It would literally just suck all the juice out of you.
Mm-hmm.
So they would set up the shots. I would stay on the ground with us routed up. And as soon as we were ready to do the shot with the third helicopter, with the camera helicopter, or from the buildings, whatever it might be, then they would take us off and we go right into it because we knew we only had a certain amount of time. And sometimes we went a little bit longer, but they were able to see too. As soon as we get going, because you got so much energy on this thing, and they can see it's like, okay, Chuck's getting tired. We need to set him down for a second, get him some water.
Ow.
And that was really my first film working with Sam as a director. And let me say, there's a lot of good directors out there that really appreciate what you're doing. I think Sam takes the cake because he would literally, once I took over under the helicopter, he would come in the morning and greet me, how you doing? You know, blah, 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 really nice. And then the day he'd come running up and give me a hug. And he was just so grateful. He's such a great guy. And it was genuine. So you gave him 110% just because he was such a cool guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Oh. That scene just, oh my gosh, I can barely look at it. It just makes me cringe.
The nice thing about that, for me at least, is because of where the technology has gone, that sequence will never ever be done like what we did it, because we did it for real. The only CG was Liam's close-ups on a blue screen. Everything you see on the helicopter is real. There's no animation. There's none of that stuff. It's the real deal. It's me on a helicopter flailing around. You know, so that won't happen again. It's too easy to duplicate that stuff with CG now, and they won't take. The insurance companies probably won't let them do it, and the productions don't want to take the risk.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh man.
Because I mean, we almost had a helicopter go down. We had 3 helicopters, and there was one day they were going, and it was the chase helicopter, and so we were getting ready to go up. They were lining up the other 2 helicopters for the shots and stuff like that. And we're loaded up, and there's like, you ready? I'm ready. And we were just getting ready to take off. And all of a sudden we get a call from Cliff Fleming. He feels something. And he says, hang on a second. I need to come in and check something. And so Craig right away on the microphone says, you know, stand by. We're gonna stay loaded up, but we'll probably be going right away. I'm like, copy, I'm ready when you are. So as soon as we see the helicopter comes in and it flares and kind of levels out, and all of a sudden it just drops. He goes, boom, and bounces off the ground. Like, holy shit, that was a hard landing. He felt something in the stick that he didn't like. And as he came in, the main rotor went out. The bearings in the main rotor went out. He lost the motor. And that was the beginning of the day. You know, it was like one of the first shots that day. And so it's like, they said, the helicopter's done. We had to replace these parts. It's not going up again today for sure. And so they started going through. It's like, okay, well, we'll just do the Darkman bit with the camera helicopter and stuff like that. And then finally, after a couple of minutes, Sam came in and said, you know what? The karma's not right. It's a wrap. I'm not taking a chance.
Yeah.
And we literally wrapped for the day. It was probably the right call because the feeling on the set was just like, holy crap, we just almost lost a helicopter.
Yeah,
you know?
that's.
And in my case, I mean, we went through a whole procedure, and Craig was, when we first went, he's like, if I got to come down, I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna try to flare you out. I'm gonna swing you out in front of me. When you hit the ground, no matter how hard it might be, you go right because I'm going left. I may drag you, but at least I'm not gonna hit you with the rotors. And it's like, holy crap, this is kind of morbid, but it's the truth. It's like, and we, fortunately, we never had any problems, but it's just, and you get a little bit comfortable underneath it. You kind of hang in there. We were setting up a shot where I had to go over the top of the other rotors, which was staggered. And as we're going through it, it was a Saturday, and I'm looking over at one of the skyscrapers, and there's, at our level, there's a whole row of all the windows, and everybody's in the window looking. It's like this. And it's like, I said, Craig, look out your right window. And he looks, he starts laughing. These people are thinking, it's like, what the hell is that?
I bet.
So you get a little comfortable. You get a little comfortable after a while, but yeah, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stay on your toes.
It's exactly.
Goodness.
Who asked Holly says, hello, just a ride. Well, hello, Holly. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
You'll have to catch up. There'll be a
Yeah,
test.
that's right. Yeah, this is some good stuff with Chuck tonight. We're getting ready to wrap up the stream, but definitely watch the replay. Trust
There
me,
you go.
there's so
Yes.
many great stories that Chuck has shared of his experience. We have another question here.
It's
Go
so
ahead.
tough because all these years you use every movie set's got a story of some sort, and you don't remember them until like we start talking. All of a sudden, one leads to another, and you don't know when to
Yeah.
stop.
Well, I love it, and
Me too.
it's amazing. Val has a question. She says,
Okay.
"Is stunt work something you wanted to get into, or something you fell into?" Pun intended.
In my case, it was something I really wanted to get into. When I've been racing, I started racing go-karts and was BMX and all these different things. It was in my blood. I was an athlete growing up. I was the guy that went from one sport to the next sport, just constantly baseball, football, track and field. I was a competitive swimmer, diver, gymnastics, hockey. I couldn't get enough. And so when I was still in high school, I was working at a place called Malibu Grand Prix. It was a go-kart thing. And my best friend was the general manager. And I was the shop foreman. We take the cars out in the middle of the night with the sprinklers going just to race around, sliding around the grass and stuff like that. He's having a blast. And so right away he says, "Oh my God, one of my best friends and stuff like that would love this. He's a stunt man." I'm like, "He's what?" And it's like, I got to invite him down. He's like, "Please do." So he invited him. And it turned out to be Mike Vendrell, who was the stunt coordinator and Gil Gerard's double on Buck Rogers.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So he came
goodness.
down, we driving and stuff like that at the end of the day and stuff like that. And I said, "I got to ask you a question. I've always wanted to be a stuntman. What would it take?" And so he says, "Well, why don't I just take you with me as a guest on a movie set? And you see what it's like, and then you can make an opinion." I'm like, really? My first movie set I got to go on was Fast Times at Ridgemont High for the football sequences.
No way.
Hanging out with legends. I mean, nowadays you talk legends. These guys were legends then. And it was like a who's who. And I'm like in the middle of it, this kid pulling pads around and helping him out and stuff like that. And then, after filming all night and stuff, in the morning, we're going to go out for breakfast and stuff. He says, "What do you think?" It's like, "Dude, this is what I do on weekends for fun. You're getting paid for it." Hell yes, I want to be a stunt man. And then he got divorced. He moved away. I was like left. And so then it's like, all right, what's it going to take? I'm going to be an extra. We're going to get a PA. 3.5 years working side jobs just to be around to meet people before I finally got in the union. I did some student film stunts but that was in my blood, and it still is. I'm moving now into producing and directing stuff. I'm never going to give up stunts because it's just too much of a part of my life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that's all.
Get adrenaline rush.
It is.
Yeah.
And I get the same adrenaline rush now as a coordinator or as a director. I don't have to do the stunts because I've done them all. I've done all these things. So when I watch the new performers and stuff do a fire burn or do a car hit or something like that, I get just as much rush because I know what it takes to do that. I get just as pumped up to watch them do it. And then when it's done, it's the same feeling, except I don't hurt as much now. but I still get that rush. It doesn't go away.
That's awesome, man.
It's great.
Jason had to head out, but he had said, "Thank you, Chuck. It's been an honor. Wishing you all the best in your future endeavors."
Jason, thank you. He is a nice one, isn't he?
He is very nice.
Awesome.
Well,
thank you. I'm happy. I'm happy I get to do this stuff because, like I said before, there's too many fans out there that I feel I owe something to, that have given me the chance to have this career. Without the audience, there's no movies. There's no stunts. It's you have to have an audience. People have to want this for it to happen.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've been fortunate. I'm happy about that.
Well, we are the ones that are the beneficiaries of your amazing work, Chuck, and it's incredible stuff. And what a career! And you're still working. Like I say, it ain't over yet. You're still active, and you're.
I'm 62, believe it or not, and I have no inkling of slowing down. I still love it. My body is still a little slower. I'm a little bit beat up. 37 whatever years of doing this. My knees are shot. I still have back problems, but I'm healthy enough that I'm still going to go out there. I won't do a car hit anymore, or maybe a stair fall because it's just a little too brutal. And there's young guys that can absorb that pain.
Right.
So
You can show them how to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, what's funny is we did that. We did a show. We had we're introducing this new stunt padding in Holland and stuff. And they had a Dutch version of how they do that.
Okay.
So they were showing this padding and stuff like that. And they were demonstrating, you put the pads on, put it on, you hit them with a pipe, and it didn't hurt, blah, blah, blah. Well, the host was going to do a car hit. And he's like, and he was a stunt guy. And he was like, well, I'll do this. And all of a sudden he got to like, well, what if I get hurt? I don't know how you do it. And he started making excuses like, give me that stuff. And I put on the ski mask and I did a stunt. I was well into my 50s and stuff like that. And it's like, I still love it. It's like,
well, Who Asked Holly says you're definitely in the right job. It's easy to see. It's all in your smile as you talk.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
Very
and it's definitely not for everybody. I mean, in my case, it fits perfectly because it's what I love to do. But if you're afraid of this stuff, and it's not even so much afraid, because everybody says, "Oh, you're fearless," and that's not true at all. These things scare me just as much as it scares anybody else. I've learned over the years I got to trust my abilities, I got to trust my crew, and I got to most importantly trust the equipment, because that's what we count on. One of those things goes wrong and you're in the hospital or worse. So you got to stand up on top of a building looking at this what looked like a huge airbag that's now the size of a postage stamp, and it's like, I'm just gonna jump into that. Am I nuts? And all of a sudden they yell action. You just go into motion. You just do it.
Wow.
It's definitely not for everybody. And there's a lot of people that say this, like, oh, I can do that. And like, really? I'll take them in my drift car and stuff like that. It's like, let's go for a ride. And all of a sudden they're like screaming and stuff like that. And like, we're only sliding around a track. We're not even going to hit anything. And it's like, oh, no, let me out.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck, there's 3 Star Wars movies coming out pretty soon. And
I've tried so hard now that I'm overseas, I've tried to get both on the Star Wars and on the James Bond stuff. And it's really tough because the British guys who now I'm starting to get to know, obviously through Hitman'S Bodyguard, I work with that. Maybe I can get on them. I'm hoping so. But again, they do so over the top stuff. If that's a young guy sport, let me be one of those indie guys, just knock me down as he runs down the street or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of dreams is work on films like that and work with Jackie Chan. Everybody else I've worked with that I want to, I've not gotten the chance to work with Jackie Chan, and I would love to, because these guys like that inspire me. So I would love to work with him. I got to work with Arnold. I got to work with a lot of these guys. Jackie, not yet.
Oh,
that'd be awesome.
So and a Star Wars would be awesome.
Yes.
All the Star Treks I did, and everybody goes, "You worked Star Wars? No, Star Trek. Oh, but not Star Wars? No, unfortunately, Star Trek." And I would love to be able to say I worked on a Star Wars thing, because I know so many of those guys, and I haven't been able to crack that nut yet.
So they can show the back side of you, but you'd be holding a lightsaber. So that could be your claim to fame.
There you go. Whatever it comes down to, that's fine with me.
Oh man, this has been so fun.
Very
Chuck,
much.
we don't want to keep you any longer. This has been a joy tonight. I've been looking forward. We've been looking forward to having you. And
we talked about this before I even made the plans to come to America. Like, we're gonna do this because it's hard when I'm overseas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's a 7-hour time difference. So either I have to wake up in the middle of the night, which is kind of sucky because I don't mind doing that, but then I wake up everybody in the house and they're like, shut up, we're sleeping. I'm like, or you guys have to go really early, and it's like, oh, that's not the same. So now that I'm only an hour away from you guys time zone wise, this is a piece of cake.
It's perfect. And hey, before we go, would you like to talk a little bit about your film festival before we head out? I would love that.
I'm here, we're doing a film festival. Actually, it's this Sunday called Campfire Scares, and there's actually an Instagram page, Campfire Scares Instagram page, and it's our first one, and it's horror film shorts, and it's based around telling scary stories around a campfire, summer camp. And so, we decided to do this. We're going to make a little pilot, like a TV series type thing, a streaming service thing, and use the shorts that are the winners from this thing as the stories that we're telling around the campfire. So the actors will be telling it, and it'll go into the short. That gives some of these filmmakers that are just getting started, they're making shorts, And some of these shorts are amazing. They're so good, but it gives them a chance not only to enter a film festival and stuff like that, but actually gets their stuff seen, which is ultimately all what we all want. You know, a lot of film festivals, they give you an award, they give you this and that. Okay, great. It really doesn't do anything other than, okay, I got this award. But everybody wants to have their film seen. And it's like, well, why can't we do a festival where we can do that? And so I came up with the idea. I approached a couple of my friends here, and they all were like, that's amazing. Why hasn't that been done yet? I'm like, I don't know. And so we're going with it. We're carrying the ball and running. And it's the first one's this Sunday, going to start around 8:00 Eastern time. There you go. Campfire Scares.
Yes.
And we'll start about 8:00 for a couple hours. We'll do a live stream from Borgo Italia in Genoa, where they do The Walking Dead. And
nice.
It's going to be fun. I know we've already confirmed there's 7 finalists, and 4 of them have already confirmed that they're going to be there. So the other ones can't, because they're all coming from out of town and they're all students. So it's tough for them to do, but we're going to try to do Zoom calls with them to at least give them a chance to introduce their films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's fun. I think it's something, again, it's giving back to the community that's given to me, you know. And this isn't even stunts. This is just filmmaking. And I think as a filmmaker, we need to help each other. And so this is my way of helping.
That's
Very
so
much.
awesome. Really it is, man. And that's this Sunday night. What time does this start Sunday
We're
night?
going to start 8:00 Eastern time.
Okay, guys.
8 p.m. Eastern. Yep.
8
Roughly
p.m.
is.
Eastern.
Yep.
And
we're
this
going to
is
start
where
a little bit earlier. There'll be a meet and greet before that. And we'll have some food and drinks and stuff like that. But then we want to start the broadcast around 8:00. And I was able to reach out a bunch of the people like Violet McGraw and Maddie McGraw from Hill House and Megan.
Yeah.
They were part of our celebrity judges and stuff like that. And they have sent us little clips. Violet's actually in New Zealand doing Megan too right now. So they were cordial enough to send me a little video clip, you know, saying, you know, congratulations to finalists, blah, blah, blah. Bob Kurtzman, who is a very good friend of mine, who anybody in the horror film knows who Bob Kurtzman is, Freddy Krueger and so many legends that he's created. He was part of the Kane group with Greg Nicotero and Robert Berger. These guys were amazing and stuff like that. What they did with special effects back in the day and still today. So Bob and Marcy have become very good friends of mine over the years. We've done a bunch of films together, and they're the same thing. It's like, whatever you need, Chuck, we're there for you. And it's just nice to have so many people within the industry that I look up to, that just like, whatever you need. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Wow, that is incredible, man. And I'm excited Sunday night to take a look to tune in.
It's going to be fun. I don't know what to expect. This is my first film festival that I've ever done. It works on paper. Honestly, I've never done even a live feed on my own. So I'm relying on these guys. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm like, we'll take care of it. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're good. We're going to give it a shot, you know?
Yeah,
see where it goes.
Well, that's fantastic. So guys, listen, go to Campfire Scares. It's on Instagram. I put the link in the chat one more time. Here we go. Be sure you all go follow it right now. Go pull it up, follow them now. And Chuck, this is Chuck's project, if you will, that he's doing and I think it's just great, man. And like I told you earlier, I know a guy who he's making shorts right now. I mean, it's just really cool. And so what a neat opportunity. Yeah,
it's where these young directors and producers are getting their start and stuff like that. And that's many of them don't get a chance to get their stuff seen. Again, this is like, how can I help? How can I help? I think this is the easiest way for me to help.
Amazing, man.
Yeah,
amazing.
Very nice.
So cool. And Holly said thank you as well. Yeah. And
no, thanks.
Val just followed the Camp Scares.
Well, thank you guys. I mean, thank you to you guys too. I mean, this has been fun. I always love. There's just something about movie people that you get to talk to and tell stories and stuff like that just makes it really magical and stuff like that. I enjoy it so much.
Well, and we enjoy it too. And you know, I told Mike, I said, Mike, you know, you're gonna love Chuck. He's so great. He's just the coolest guy, and just, you know, we can start talking about movies and We just go where the river takes us.
Yeah,
And,
that's it. This is like, let's just go. When we start, it's like, what are we going to talk about? It's like, who cares? Let's just go.
That's right.
This boat doesn't have a driver. Just let it go.
Nope. Val says, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Chuck.
No,
all right.
Val, it's like I said before, this is my pleasure. I really enjoy the stuff. I wouldn't do it if I didn't. I mean, I really do enjoy it.
Yes.
I enjoy, enlightening people on what it's really like, being on set. It's not always good. Sometimes there's some bad times and stuff like that. Every film is not a joy. Some of them are just a nightmare, but in general, most of them are. And even that old saying is like, the worst day at golf is better than the best day at work. It's the same thing. My worst day on a movie set is better than going to a normal job.
Yep. There you go. That's right.
I love what I do, and I wouldn't change a thing.
Man. That's wonderful. Val says it gives us a new appreciation when we watch the movies. It's so true. It really does.
There's so much, and I mean, I can only give the stunt perspective. There's so many things that happen behind the scenes that people don't have a clue about. Some of the departments, the grips, who are the hardest working guys on the set. These guys do magic, with making sure that everything is done right. The lighting crews that spend days lighting sets just so it can be just right. Man. Nobody recognizes these people and what they do, and it goes down to the drivers and stuff like that. They always like, how did the equipment get to set? You got a whole crew of people that are driving that stuff back and forth every day, replacing things. We need a dolly for tomorrow. They'll go pick it up. I've had times where it's like, I need a stake bed because we got to haul a bunch of pads from over there to over here, and I didn't have anybody do it. The transport guys like, we got it. Where's that? We'll go pick it up. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, no problem. That's what we're here for. Wow. These guys are the ones that need the recognition. We're on screen. It's obvious what we do. But the people that are not on screen behind the camera, the cameramen, stuff like that, all those people, they don't get recognized. And that's a shame. Makeup people, wardrobe. I mean, there's so much that is involved with stuff. So many people that it takes a team. It takes a team to do it.
It does. It does, man. And, costume design, too, is a whole nother.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness gracious, man. I'm going to be having the costume designer from Scream 2 joining me on my Craven channel.
Yeah.
And I've never met him. She's going to be the first costume designer I've ever interviewed. So I'm very excited to hear the perspective that she'll bring to the film from that side of it.
Because there's so many different angles on that. The same thing. I mean, they got to design stuff for the actors. They got to design for the stunts. The stunt uniform is going to be different than the actor's uniform because it's got to be a little bit bigger to allow for pads, or we got to put wires on it. So they got to put holes in it. I mean, there's so many things that go on that people just don't recognize. Like, it just happens. Like, it doesn't just happen. It's months of preparation to make this stuff happen. I meet with the wardrobe people well before the fittings start. And they say, okay, we're going to need a double for that. And it's like, okay, well, they're going to be on fire. So the clothes have to be cotton. Well, why cotton? Well, because it's not going to burn. I can treat the cotton. If it's polyester, it's going to melt no matter what I do. And people don't realize that stuff. It's like you got to fireproof everything. The costumes, even though it's on fire, the costume doesn't burn. The fuel burns. We got to treat the costumes to make them so they don't burn, so it doesn't get out of control. The same way we got to fireproof the sets and stuff like that. If we're going to build it up, it's propane or whatever it might be. That also has to be prepared. Otherwise, you got a forest fire.
Man,
and that's the stuff. That's all the stuff that just nobody knows about. Unless you see some of the behind the scenes stuff, and even then, it's not explained too much, because obviously I don't want to tell too much about the stunts, because then somebody's going to go and it's like, I'm going to make another Jackass and I'm going to do all this stuff, and they're going to get hurt. It's like, yeah, well, I heard Chuck Borden talking about it. It's like, guys, there's so much that goes in this that it would take me a week to teach you how to properly do a fire burn. I couldn't explain it even in an hour. It's so much involved in it.
When you watch Jackass, do you like sit there and just laugh at their idiocy, or are you like,
absolutely,
this is horrific?
I've worked with Steve-O a few times actually, and he's tamed down over the years, but these guys are just comic. They're so goofy and crazy. How they haven't killed themselves at one point is beyond me.
I know.
Or at least maimed themselves, between getting kicked in the nuts and all this stuff. And like, when we do it on a movie set, we fake it. I put a strap or something, or put something on it. They do it for real. Like, you are stupid.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
But it's entertaining. And then again, that's where the CG, when you put the CG in it, and the audience can tell when it's real or not. And Jackass was real, and that's why it was popular.
Super real.
Oh well, too real actually.
Too
but
real. Yeah,
it's funny, and I enjoy it. I mean, from perspective, I think they're lunatics, but I laugh at it because, like, wow, somebody's stupid enough to do this stuff. Good for you, because I ain't doing it.
No. Oh man. Well, guys, listen, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up tonight. This has been again such an amazing time. And Chuck, we'll meet you backstage after the stream ends.
Yep.
But I want to, on behalf of Michael and I, thank you so much for tonight.
From the bottom of our heart.
Yeah, but my pleasure, guys. I've had a blast doing this. Stephen, we've done this a few times, and it's always fun. I always have such a good time.
Same here. Something I always look forward to. I'm already looking forward to the next time we can connect and do this.
There we
again.
go.
So
we'll figure something out.
We'll figure it out one way or another. But everyone in the chat, thank you also. Thanks, Val, for moderating the chat tonight. Excuse me. And all of you who came. Also, for those watching the replay, because there'll be a lot of people that will watch this tomorrow and in a week or two, a month now. They'll still be watching it on their schedule. And we appreciate that as well. And Mike, why don't you go ahead and read these last two comments before I'm choking?
Val says it's so much fun hanging out with y'all tonight. And Kyle says, thank you for being here, Chuck. This was awesome.
Like I said, it really is my honor to do this stuff. I enjoy it.
Intruder watch party coming soon.
There we go. Mean, let's do it.
How much longer are you in the States?
I'm only here into about the middle of the end of next week. So Sunday's the festival. I only booked it to be here a couple days after. I wanted to at least be able to unwind afterwards. But I think I fly back home on Thursday. So
Thursday.
And you got a 7-hour difference?
From here it's 7 hours to the Western Europe stuff. It's for you guys. It's 6 hours to UK and 7 to Holland and Paris and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I have if you're free on Fridays, I have Fridays off. We could probably do a day watch.
We could.
We could probably do that. We can do that because your daytime is kind of my nighttime and stuff like that. But it's like we did before, and it's not so much for me. I can always. I'm used to. I have to Zoom meetings and stuff in the middle. I got to talk to LA, which is a 9-hour difference and stuff like that. And they say, "Oh, we got an appointment at 2 in the afternoon." Okay, for me, that's like, in the middle of the night. So like, all right, just do it. Then I got to find a nice quiet place to do it, so I don't wake up the rest of the family. But
right.
Daytime is easy because at noon it's really only 7 o'clock at night for me. So that's a piece of cake. That's dinner time.
Oh, well then maybe we can pursue. We'll get back with you, of course,
offline.
We'll talk. We can do something. We'll talk.
Yes.
We'll talk.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, listen. Be sure and share this out with your friends on your socials. We greatly appreciate it. And check out again Sunday night. This coming Sunday night, and it is at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Probably
Eastern.
About 8 to 10:30. So it'll be longer and stuff like that.
Nice, guys.
On our Instagram page, on the Campfire Scares Instagram page.
There it is. Okay, so make sure you guys are following the page. That's where it's going to broadcast from. So I will definitely be hopping in to that live stream and say hello. And
book in from time to time and see what's happening.
I will. I'm excited. It's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and call it a stream for now. So one last time, this is Steven.
And this is Michael, and we are the Movie Bros React with Chuck Borden.
Yeah, baby. Good night, guys. See ya.